how understanding your zone of excellence and your zone of genius could be the ultimate life hack. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Sheena Shui. I'm a therapist and business owner, so welcome to this space. And if you're returning for another episode, thank you for being here, and you should be so proud of yourself for taking some time out for you to improve your personal development, your mindset, your business, your career. So let's get into the zone of excellence versus the zone of genius and how to use it in your life and to hack your life with it. So what actually is the zone of excellence and the zone of genius? The best way I like to explain it to people is the zone of excellence is anything that you're really good at, that you could easily do, that you could probably get paid well to do, or it's just something that you're good at and it's easy for you, and it's probably easy for you to slip into, but it doesn't really light you up, so you're better at it than most people, but it doesn't light you up. Versus the zone of genius, which is what you're good at, but it also lights you up. It's that thing that you're like, it sets my soul on fire. I'm passionate about this. I could talk about this all day, every day. And I want to talk about how to hack these areas. So coming back to myself, some of you know you've been listening to the podcast for a while, or maybe you follow me on social media. I'm kind of going through it. I'm going through a separation, which I don't want to get into the details because I always say, talk from a scar, not a wound, and I broke my own rule. So I don't really like that. And some of you saw that it was quite public. I broke my own rule. So we need to kind of backtrack from that a little bit, but that's the thing is like everybody does that. Everybody makes mistakes. And I want to acknowledge that may have been a misstep on my side, but nobody's perfect. And so I want to start there. But, there are times in life where it's okay to step back into the zone of excellence, and it's even okay to step back into something called the zone of competence, where you're not even that good at it, but you can do the job. So you can do a job and maybe it pays well. And the reason I say that is because a lot of business owners I know at the moment are going through it. And again, there's been lots astrologically there's happening. There's lots psychologically that's happening in this post kind of COVID era. It's like COVID really brought up a lot for people psychologically. Any problems in relationships that they weren't facing, any trauma that they had unprocessed, any parenting stuff that was coming up for them got shoved right in their face during COVID. And I feel like what I've been seeing with a lot of my business mentees, as well as some of my therapy clients, and often my clients are both, is they're going through the other side of that. So similarly to me, maybe they're going through a separation, maybe their relationship's breaking down, maybe they've started therapy for the first time because they finally realized that, hey, even though I had a roof over my head, food over the table, went to good schools, I actually didn't have anyone there for me growing up. And the trauma of that, the trauma of like going through things and not having a parent to share that with, or not having a close relationship with parents. That's something I've seen come up quite a lot, is that it's almost like they've realized that their parent did the bare minimum and has sort of a superficial relationship, but they can't really talk about deep things. And, given that's your primary caregiver and your first real deep relationship, you'd like to think that it's loving and caring and you could come to them with anything. But a lot of us didn't have that. And so in a post-COVID world where, finances and the cost of living. Like, I don't like to buy into a lot of that stuff because I know a lot of people get wealthy during these times, and I don't want to plant fear-mongering seeds because you can get through that. But I will say that I have seen just a lot of people in their businesses, it's just not flowing how it used to. Their personal stuff is taking over. So, we all have those moments in life where it's hard to function in our career because we're burning out, we're exhausted, anxiety's getting the better of us. Maybe we're even feeling a bit depressed, burnt out. It's a lot. And if we keep trying to push through those moments, it doesn't get better, but it actually gets worse. It's what we call unaligned action. It's just when you're pushing shit uphill. There's no other way to put it. It's that you're going against it. And I think sometimes in life, I'm definitely feeling like I'm going through an ego death of going, okay, it's time to reevaluate who I want to be and what I want my life to look like, because the trajectory that I was going on is not doable anymore. And so I have to change direction. And often as business owners, as high achievers, as career people, we have to do this in relationships too. This can happen. So if you're going through a bit of a patch right now, it's really good to ask yourself, is there a way I can step back into my zone of excellence, knowing that I always am aiming for my zone of genius? So what do I mean by that? I just want to share really openly, like an example that I have where, because of everything going on personally for me, I've had some people reach out and go, hey, I've got this job opportunity, which actually might work really well for some of the things that I want to do. And I do miss some of my old work. So a couple of people have approached me with some opportunities, but as a business owner who was thriving both financially and with my time freedom, I was working in my zone of genius, everything had come together. I think I was over-identifying with that. And that's a danger zone I've talked about in previous episodes, where if you identify with external features, like your career, like your business, like your roles, like titles, that leaves you extremely vulnerable for when you lose those things. And so it's been sort of a back and forth as a business mentor, do I take these opportunities given that it's sort of working, it's almost consulting through my business, but it's not necessarily my zone of genius. It's kind of feels like I'm taking a step back into my zone of excellence. But I know that it's the best decision if I do. I'm going to be less stressed. I'm going to show up differently in my business. I can start to rebuild because there's a lot of things that have crumbled around me unexpectedly. And I also get to ask myself, what do I really want my business to look like? If your business or career got burnt to the ground tomorrow, really think about, where would I begin? How would I start? Do I even want to work where I live? Maybe you want to live in a different state or a different suburb. Maybe you want to work for yourself. Maybe you want to work from home. Maybe you actually do want to work in an office because you like the liveliness or whatever it is. But as awful as it can feel sometimes when the universe is giving you a whole bunch of stuff, it can be helpful to go, okay, what do I really want out of life? And what would my ultimate zone of genius look like? And what are the things that are in my zone of excellence? Because often when I'm starting, particularly with health professionals, I do a lot of business mentoring for health professionals. So, physios, OT, people in the wellness sphere. I often do say when you're starting off, first of all, do the first step, which is don't, work for somebody else and build your business on the side. That's step one, which I might even have to go back to. I mean, step one would be working full-time and building it on the side. Then you do part-time, build it on the side. Then what you do is sometimes you have to get work in your zone of excellence to get the cash flow, which can feel like a kick in the guts, or you feel it in your soul when you're doing something for money or survival rather than out of love. But sometimes in life we have to do that. And so it's okay. And this can be applied, I think, to even where you live, right? Like sometimes if you know the zone of genius, so using this example again of, okay, so zone of excellence, you're good at it. It might be easy for you. It might be easy for you to get a job in it. It might be easy for cash flow. So it eases the pressure. But your zone of genius is what you'd love to do and what you're good at. It lights your soul on fire. This can also be for, let's say, you want to own a house by the water one day, or you want to have acreage, you want to have the farm, or you want to have several investment in properties. I don't care, whatever the goal is. Again, sometimes it's going, okay, as a home buyer, I need to do my zone of excellence. What can I do and what's easy that's going to get me there? So again, a lot of people, their first home they buy isn't the dream home. It isn't the ultimate home that they want to live in, but it's the stepping stone home that will get them to the dream home. So it's like getting yourself in the market and then eventually selling that house and moving up. That's really normal progression. You're very, very, very lucky if somehow you've bought your first home and it's your dream home, or your very first job or your first business is actually in your zone of genius. When I first started my business, I thought I was working in my zone of genius, but I actually was working out of my zone of excellence. So what do I mean by that? It means I thought I was working from a passion place, but I actually was working from a place of this is easy and it makes money. But I thought that it was my passion place because if it comes natural to me, oh, well, then I must be good at it. That must be my thing to do. But sometimes you can be really naturally good at something and you don't really like it. And that's okay too. Okay. So using that zone of excellence or zone of genius, or if we reframe this for a moment, what's something you can do right now that's easy and is going to get you by and help you survive and get you to your goals, but it's not the dream, versus what is my dream and what do I really want my life, my relationship, my business and career to look like? Because the reason that this is a life hack is because it will shock you how many people don't even know what they're working towards. They don't actually really know what the end goal is, because they don't actually really sit and visualize and take the time and actually think about, what is all of this for? It's kind of that short-term vision of, okay, I know I want to work for myself, but what can make me money and I can do easily? Rather than going, what's a business that would light me up? What's the goal for, like, where do I want to see myself at 30, 40, 50? How do I want to live my life? And making sort of strategic goals to get there. So starting with your zone of competence where you're average at it, but it pays the bills. Then going into your zone of excellence, which is you're good at it and maybe it's easy cash or easy flow, but it doesn't light you up. And then the final, which is your zone of genius. You're good at it, it lights you up, and hopefully it pays you well too. I find often that if you know what you're passionate about and you know what your purpose is and you know what you want to do, the cash flow comes naturally. And I've seen this time and time again, and I even saw it with myself. And so just know that if you're in that space where maybe you're buying a house that you're sort of like, oh, I don't really know if I want this house. It's not the dream, but I know it'll get me there. It's okay. That's a really good decision, okay? So don't beat yourself up thinking, oh, like I thought I'd be further along, or I've been visualizing or trying to manifest this thing. It's all going to come together with faith and trust, but you need to know what the vision is. And as long as you hold that vision, you're getting closer and closer to your zone of genius, which is really your life's purpose and what you really want to do. But hold that. Again, it's worth reiterating one more time. Know what you are working towards long term. Is it time freedom? Is it you want to travel the world? Is it when you want really, you want to be able to help your family financially? Do you want investment properties? Do you just want to have enough money to travel whenever you want? Do you want to have a farm? What does your ideal life and ideal lifestyle and goals look like? Because if you don't know that, then you don't even know, am I in my zone of competence, excellence, genius? It doesn't matter. And most people won't think about this. Because I want you to remember that because you're here, you're a go-getter. You're a high achiever. You being here means you're into personal development. You're trying to better yourself. A lot of people aren't. And it can be really shocking because I find when you're on this personal development journey, you're delving into your psychology, you're delving into your business, you're finding out so much about yourself, and you naturally end up surrounding yourself with people on the personal development journey. So it can be easy to forget when you're surrounded by people on the same path. Most people won't take that path. Most people won't even think about it. They're just getting through the day or doing what they were told or never questioning the status quo. And that's just not you. The fact that you're even going through this means you're courageous and you're doing something brave. And so the bravery to pursue your zone of genius and going through the things that make you uncomfortable and you never thought you'd have to do, but it's all coming together and it's for this bigger purpose, that's courageous and that's brave. So don't ever discount yourself for a second. If sometimes it feels like you're taking a step back, sometimes you have to pull back to go forward. Just like the arrow in the bow, sometimes you have to pull the arrow back for it to launch into the distance. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I'm so thankful that you're here and you came for another wonderful episode of the 4Q podcast. And if you're not already, keep your eye out on our Instagram because we have some exciting new programs coming up. We've got a Business Without Burnout program coming up. We've got a business mindset membership coming up that's launching. And I cannot wait to get you into these programs because they are super exciting. And of course, you can always apply for the 20-hour Business Week Academy where I'm going to show you and hold your hand by exactly showing you how to build a business in 20 hours a week, but also implement it. And I will be there right by your side when the emotional highs and lows come up, when the strategic highs and lows come up, but more importantly, when your stuff comes up. That's the biggest thing, is that you think building a business is working on your business, but it's actually working on you. All right, beautiful souls, have another wonderful week, and I will see you in the next episode of the 4Q podcast. Bye for now.